Welcome back to the Halacha series for women. We are continuing in Sefer Otar Danim in Halacha number 12. Rav Igal Yosef Shlita writes, Yesh lechanech gam et abanot litol yidehem shacharit, v'litol et yidehem kodem hasuda, ve'acharitzim mebet hakisef v'chadumeh. Rav Igal Yosef Shlita explains over here that there is an obligation which is placed on the parents to educate their young girls when it comes to washing their hands when they wake up in the morning, or when it comes for the bread meal, or after they had used the facility, meaning the restroom. What Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita is telling us over here is that even though your daughter has not reached the age of bat mitzvah, meaning 12, nevertheless, from 6 years old up to 12, there's an obligation which is placed on the parents, which is called chinuch. We need to educate our children in Hashem's ways. So when does the education really start? It starts from the age of 6. Sometimes it could even be the age of 5, depending on how sharp the child is. Nevertheless, we see over here that when a child who's at the age of 6, when he wakes up, the parent should educate the child to wash his hands in the morning. Also educate the child to wash his hands for the bread meal, and also after they have used the facility. And he says, and similar things to that, meaning that if a child, let's say the mother went ahead and she cut the daughter's nails, or they went to a salon and they got a haircut, or the daughter went and she put on her shoes with her hands and not with a spoon. In all these cases, we're going to want to educate the child that they have to go ahead and wash their hands. Now, there is a very, very big difference between all these washings. First difference I want to just point out, when it comes to washing of the hands for the bread meal versus washing the hands when a person wakes up in the morning. For the bread meal, you have to do it 3 times on each hand. For the morning washing, it's it's 6 times, but it's alternate. You go back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like we explained in the previous shiur. But there's also a very, very big difference between washing one's hand in the morning, the bread meal, and any other time, like if a person used the facility, or if he took his nails, he cut his nails, or took a haircut, or touched his shoes, or maybe a person went ahead and he scratched a close part of the body. Also there you have to wash, but there's very, very big differences in all 3 cases. When it comes to the bread meal, we're always going to tell you, lechatchila, there's nothing what to talk about. You need to use a utensil. Now if you don't have a utensil to use a faucet, you can go ahead and use it by opening, closing, but you can't say the bracha. Rabotai, it's not the class for that. I'm just trying to tell you what the halacha requires of us right now. So when it comes for the bread meal, we require you to use a utensil. When it comes for the washing in the morning when you get out of bed, over there utensil is really not required, because the whole purpose why you're washing your hands is because you're doing it for davening reasons. You really don't need a utensil. So why do we use a utensil in the morning? According to the Zohar Kodesh. Because he says in order for the Ruch Ra'ah, the evil spirit, to leave away from your hands, you need to use a utensil. That's why over there you use a utensil. But you can see how they're not comparable. If I don't have a utensil, no problem, wash like that. No big deal, finish. But by the bread, initially we want you to, if you have a cup, here, I have a cup right over here. When it comes for the bread meal, should I wash it under the sink? Absolutely not. For the morning, even if I have the cup, I'm not really obligated to go ahead and use the cup. We just tell you it's good to do it just to get rid of the evil spirit. But when it comes to the other washings, a person went into the restroom. A person was with, a woman was with her husband. After the relations, he and she have to get up and they have to wash their hands. Over there, the Mishnah Berurah brings down that preferably you want to use a cup because there's a lot of tumah that comes from the semen. So you want to go ahead and use a cup. But are you obligated? Absolutely not. A person took his nails. He trimmed his nails. Does he have to use a cup? Absolutely not. Took a haircut. Do you have to use a cup? No. Again, it's only good to do so, but you do see how there are different levels. By the bread meal, we want you to use a cup. By the morning, not necessarily do you have to use a cup, but it's only good to do it. By other types of washings, like we're seeing by the nail, by the hair, by the bathroom, by putting on or taking off the shoes with your hands, or touching a close part of the body, over there you really don't even need a cup. It's just a stringency to go ahead and use a cup. Halacha Yud Gimel, number 13. Ava pishi ikar mitzvat chinuch hi bi eladim shegiu legil chinuch. Even though the main mitzvah, the main obligation that rests on a parent to educate their child, that's only with children that have reached the age of chinuch, bigil shesh le'erich. So he says about 6 years old. Mikol makom, nevertheless, mitzvah liyitol av et yidei ketanim biyoter. There is a mitzvah to go ahead and wash children who are under the age of 6. Even though they didn't reach the age of chinuch, the age of education. This is a good segula for small children so they can be raised in Torah, and they can be raised, when they grow up, they're going to be holy people. It's a very, very big segula. And I've seen, Rabotai, I've not seen, but I've heard from many great Talmidei Chachamim that even after their wife has delivered the child, immediately there, they would be waiting with a cup and to wash the child's hand. And many, many people take this very much into consideration because we want our children to only go in the right way. One of the ways to do it is by starting the day off right, by washing their hands. It's very important. Even if the child is 1 month old, you should go ahead and do it. It's just a different feeling. You have to understand, what does it mean to have tumah on your hands? It's like negative energy just being drawn out for you. You're just always feeling bad and you don't know why. So there's all these halachot, Rabotai. We'll get to it Bilineder. In Halacha Yudal, last but not least for today, he says, Gam bizman sha'isha einu tohora. But what about a woman who's in a state of nida? Can she wash her children's hand? Because we said when it comes to her husband, she's not allowed to wash her husband's hand because she shows affection. But by a child, what affection? There's nothing wrong. We're not afraid of anything, correct? So that's what he says. A woman who is a nidah, she's able to wash her children's hands in order to educate them in the laws of washing of the hands. Very, very important point. We need to realize that when it comes to chinuch, chinuch does not only apply to washing the hands or putting on tefillin. Chinuch also applies to the way we as parents behave. A lot of times you can see a mother, she's not dressed in a modest fashion. That's called wrong chinuch. That's called you're educating the child the wrong way. Because no matter how much a parent will say, it will not do the same damage or it will not affect the child the same way, but by the way his actions or her actions show. So if a mother is tzinius, even if she never speaks about being modest, but she herself is modest, the daughter always wants to be better than the mother. The son always wants to be better than the father. That's why it's very, very important as parents. It's not only to do the mitzvah of washing or tefillin or kippah or tzitzit, no, or kosher. It's how we act, how we speak. Do we scream in the house? Do we curse in the house, chas v'shalom? Do we watch TV in the house? All these things is called chinuch. We have a very big obligation to be able to educate the children the right way. It's enough that they already have a lot of things outside in the world that are educating them the wrong way. We want to try to be 90% they can get influence from the outside world because they're always outside. 10% they can get influence from us. But I want you guys to know one important factor. Those 10% should be very, very strong. Why? To outweigh the 90%. It's like having 90 soldiers that can't fight, or they come to war without a gun. When you have 10 soldiers that came with AK-49s, who's going to win? The 10 soldiers. Why? Because this is the right way. They came prepared. So too we as parents. We have to come prepared. When we're in front of our children, do we speak Lashon Hara? Do we curse? Do we yell at our spouses? How do we behave? Because everything, our daughters, our boys, our children, even people around us, everybody picks up from what we do. Have a great day. May Hashem bless you all.